Sometimes the strongest bonds of friendship break under the weight of betrayal. Sometimes the best intentions lead to the most terrible consequences. And as a result, a great proud empire has fallen under the weight of its own secrets. Welcome to the Tavern, my friend. Get yourself comfortable. I've got a special drink for you tonight. It is time to raise a glass and listen to a new story. Do you hear that? Our hero of the day is already waiting for you.
Like the sun, Shurima always rises.
Millennia ago, when the world was still young, there was the Shuriman Empire, a giant stretching from golden sands to endless jungles. Her power was like the sun that never sets. The ascended warriors, like gods, guarded the borders of this great civilization. The heart of the empire beat in the golden temple where a mysterious disk emanating an unearthly glow floated in the sky. Azir, the youngest son of the emperor, was but a shadow in the brilliance of his older brothers. His fate was decided, the lot of the average ruler of some remote province. Weak in body but strong in spirit, he found solace in the ancient scrolls of the great library of Nasus while his brothers hardened in battle under the mighty ascended hero, Renekton. In the heart of the great library of Nasus, among dusty scrolls and mysterious symbols, fate brought Azir together with a young slave. Slaves in Shurima were forbidden to bear names, but since the two young men became friends, Azir broke this rule and called his new friend Xerath, which meant one who shares. He soon made Xerath his personal slave, though out of caution he never called him by name in front of strangers. The friends shared the passion for history, and together they studied everything they could find about Shurima's past and the rich legacy of the ascended heroes. One day the young prince went on an annual trip across the country with his father, brothers, Renekton and Xerath. The imperial caravan stopped for the night near a well-known oasis. In the middle of the night, Azir and Xerath slipped out of camp to sketch the starry sky and add to the atlas of celestial maps in the great library. The peaceful night in the desert was interrupted by screams. The young prince Azir and his friend Xerath, fascinated by the study of the starry sky, were dragged into a bloody fight. When the mercenary tried to kill the prince, Xerath rushed to the defense of his friend, and Azir, drawing a dagger, shed blood for the first time in his life. Returning to the emptied camp, the boys found their world turned upside down. Renekton bravely defended the emperor's honor, but the price of victory was too high. Azir's brothers, full of life and hope, lay breathless. The prince's heart was crumbling apart with pain, but at the same time it was filled with pride for his friend. Azir told his father of Xerath's bravery and asked him to reward the young slave. But the emperor ignored these words. In the emperor's eyes, the slave boy was not worthy of attention, but Azir swore that one day he and Xerath would become brothers. The emperor returned to the capital, and the 15-year-old Azir became his sole heir. Soon the ruler launched a ruthless and bloody hunt for those he suspected of hiring assassins. Shurima plunged into an abyss of suspicion and fear for years. The emperor punished and executed everyone whom he accused of treason. Although Azir was now the heir to the throne, his life hung in the balance. His father hated him, regretting the fact that Azir had not died instead of his older brothers. In addition, the monarch's wife was still young enough to give birth to new sons. The shadow of death hanging over Shurima made Azir grow up quickly. Studying and training under Renekton, he mastered the art of war, becoming a skilled warrior. But his most reliable weapon remained his friendship with Xerath. The young slave, raised to the position of advisor, became not only a friend but also a reliable ally for the prince. Together they sought knowledge that would help them change the fate of the empire. Time dragged on like an endless night, enveloping the palace in a dark veil of mystery. The empress, like a flower, withered, unable to give life to a new heir. The shadow of the curse fell on the palace, poisoning the hearts of the courtiers. Some whispered that the culprit of these misfortunes was the young Prince Azir. However, he denied everything and even executed several nobles who dared to voice their suspicions openly. One day when a new heir was born, the wrath of heaven fell upon Shurima. Lightning, like the wrath of the gods, struck the empress's room, turning it into a burning bonfire. Both the newborn prince and his unfortunate mother burned in this infernal flame. The emperor's grief was immeasurable. They say that being unable to bear such grief, he took his own life. However, it was also soon rumored that he and his guards had been found torn to pieces in the palace, their bodies reduced to charred skeletons. The tragedy that befell the imperial palace put the burden of power on Azir's young shoulders. Supported by the faithful Xerath, he ascended the throne, becoming the new emperor of Shurima. 10 years of iron will and wise decisions expanded the borders of the empire. Azir, realizing the injustice of slavery, began secretly preparing reforms. However, realizing that slavery is the foundation upon which Shurima's power rests, he kept his plans a deep secret. The desire to make Xerath his brother faced a harsh reality. As long as slavery existed in the empire, their friendship remained in question. All these years, Xerath was not just an advisor, but a shadow protecting Azir from the machination of his enemies. Together, they built a great empire, expanding its borders and strengthening the power. Azir, surrounded by luxury and many children born in different unions, nevertheless remained a prisoner of his ambitions. Xerath, seeing this, pushed him to even more daring goals, to become not just an emperor, but a god among men, an immortal ruler of the universe. As Shurima's power reached unprecedented heights, Azir announced his intention to ascend like the great warriors of the past. This decision caused alarm and surprise. The ascension ritual was a privilege granted to the Sun Priests as a reward for a life devoted to the service of the empire. But Azir's pride exceeded all reasonable limits. He considered himself worthy of such an honor and demanded obedience from the priests. On the day when the fate of Shurima was to change forever, Azir, surrounded by thousands of loyal warriors, entered the sacred path to the days of ascension. Brothers Renekton and Nasus were distracted by urgent matters, but Azir, blinded by his ambitions, was not going to postpone his plans. Having climbed to the top of the temple, he stood in front of the great golden disc, ready for a great transformation. But suddenly, moments before the priests began the rite, the emperor returned to Xerath and finally granted him his freedom. And not only to him, but also to all the slaves. Xerath was speechless in astonishment, but that wasn't all. Azir embraced Xerath and called him his brother forever, as he had promised years ago. Then the emperor turned to the priests, who were ready to unleash all the formidable power of delight on him. Azir did not know that Xerath had time to learn more than history and philosophy. He also mastered the art of dark sorcery. All this time, the dream of freedom grew in him like a tumor and turned into a burning fury. As Azir stood on the threshold of godhood, his shadow, Xerath, rose up. With the power stolen from the sun, he swept the emperor off the pedestal, entering the sacred fire on his own after that. The light meant for one was now devouring the other. The earth trembled and the sky was colored with crimson light. Xerath let out a cry of victory as he felt his mortal body change. But heavens did not forgive such blasphemy. The power meant for creation has turned into destruction. An explosion that shook the land to its core split the sky and engulfed the city. Shurima, once the proud cradle of civilization, has turned into a lethargic graveyard. Its greatness has fallen, buried under a pile of ashes and ruins. Lust for power and hatred brought death to all living things. But Azir did not see any of this. He was absorbed by nothingness. He never found out what happened to him on the roof of the temple and what happened to his empire. For many thousands of years after the death of Shurima, he was drowning in oblivion and hardships until the blood of the last of his descendants got spilled over the ruins of the temple and resurrected it to life. It was the blood of Severe, a young lady warrior, that awoke him from a 1,000-year sleep. Azir was reborn, but his body was still little more than an animated cloud of dust held together by the remnants of his unbridled will. Wandering among the ruins, he came across a lifeless body. Severe, with a treacherous wound in her back, lay like a broken doll. In her face recognized the features of his kind, and his heart sank with pain. Putting aside all his ambitions, he carefully picked her up and carried her to the place where the dawn oasis once buzzed. Now there was silence and emptiness, but with every step Azir took, water appeared in the stone bowl, clean and transparent. After lowering the girl's body into the healing moisture, he saw a miracle of healing. The wound closed, leaving only a pale scar. Having done a noble act, Azir ascended to the heavens, engulfed in the flames of rebirth. Shurima's magic, awakened by his generosity, turned him into a divine creature. The dazzling light of the sun enveloped him, giving him the appearance of a mighty humanoid hawk and armor of pure light. Power over the sands passed into his hands, and so by his will a ruined city rose from the sands, like a phoenix from the ashes. The sun disk once again took its place in the sky, and healing water filled the temples, reviving them to new life. Azir followed the golden path of emperors. Giant statues of his ancestors followed his every step. With the commanding gestures, he commanded the sands, and they, obeying his will, rose, turning into ghostly visions of Shurima's former greatness. In these sand paintings, he looked for answers to the questions about what had happened, which tormented him. With each step, Azir's heart clenched more and more. He reached the foot of the Days of Ascension, and a soul-chilling picture appeared before him. Figures of his people frozen in agony as if condemned to eternal execution. He rushed up the stairs, his heart breaking with pain. And here he is at the top, surrounded by the ghosts of his loved ones, his wife, children, friends. Their faces frozen, and the last scream pierced his soul through and through once again. An invisible force destroyed them all without leaving a trace. The sight was unbearable, but Azir's eyes remained dry. Immortality has robbed him of the ability to feel pain the way mortals do. He got up with a heavy heart. The final scene appeared before him. He himself, who raised his hands to the sky, and next to him, Xerath, his faithful companion who became his executioner and the terror of the Shurima people. The image shattered like brittle glass, and Azir saw the energy of the sun flow into Xerath, turning him into a source of destruction. Now he knew who was responsible for the death of his people. A thirst for revenge arose in his heart. Azir's golden armor, like a mirror, reflected the sun's rays, and in this blinding glow he felt a faint glint of dark magic. Xerath was alive. Azir summoned an army of sand warriors and ordered them to follow him. Standing in the flow of the golden disc, Azir swore a great oath. "I will take revenge on the murderer for what he did and return my lands, everything that belonged to me by right." My dear summoner, the story of Azir is the story of each of us. We have all made mistakes at some point, but we always have a chance to start over. Remember, even the greatest fall, but only the wisest rise. The story of this champion is only a small part of a huge universe. The secrets of Shurima are still waiting for their researchers. What is hidden in the ancient ruins? Who else from the champions experienced a similar fate? Join me on this journey to solve all the mysteries. For now, leave your comments and wishes. It is you all who help me come up with new stories. And until we meet again for a new glass of exciting stories from the League of Legends universe.